I'm here with Doug Chambers. Doug, you and I have been talking for a long time about filming a little video because everyone in this area knows you as kind of the pin guy. And certainly we mean that as a compliment. You have taken an interest in this and know a lot about it. But not a lot of other people really appreciate this part of collecting. And so wanted to get you on film and let you kind of share your knowledge and tell us a little bit about your collection.
All right. It's a collection because I was going to our Dixie Fellowships. And at our Dixie Fellowships, we get an activity pin for being there. And we get a participation pin for participating. And as I was going, I had a small collection. And I realized, hey, there's some other pretty stuff out here that I wasn't, what was before me. And so I started looking. That was Dixie Fellowship. And I've enjoyed it because it continues on. And because they all make a nice display, both the activity and the participation pins. We have a good collection of lodges. They have their own particular pins, and that started me looking.
Okay.
What really started, that was a particular set, and I didn't think I was going to go any further than that. Then I found out, because to get what I wanted, I was trading, I was buying whole collections. Traders, patch traders, they weren't interested in holding on to their pins. And one fellow said, Doug, buy my whole collection.
Please.
Please, take it away.
Yeah.
$200, it's yours. So I did, and I went home, told my wife right away, I went over budget, but she understood. And so that started me with looking for lodge flat pins. And once I got into that, I said, well, all my friends are into patch collecting for lodges. And so I decided I'll do that for pins, not realizing where that was going to take me. To get what I wanted, I ended up with all sorts of other pins. And one day I was just going through sorting, and I realized, oh, I've got some pretty arrowhead pins. And then I realized, whoa, not just on this board, but I've got some over here, got some in this box, got some so I started bringing them together, and whoa, I have lots of arrowhead-shaped pins.
Sounds like a collection.
It sounded like a collection, and I started laying them out, pushing them down on a board, and seeing, oh, I know, I've seen people with real arrowhead collections, and I was able to do that. And that started me saying, well, I gotta look for more. And believe it or not, there are hundreds and hundreds of arrow-shaped pins out there for Boy Scouts. And so that created interest, and that carried on. Other shapes, triangular shape. Who cares about triangular shapes? But if I had the arrowhead, I had triangulars. Then I found out, I've got a few of the
Hot air balloons?
Hot air balloons, just a few of them. And then I said, no. I came to my patch trader friends, like you, and down at the end of your row, there's always a box. The discard box, right. The $1 per item box. And I started going through there, and I got a beautiful collection of these hot air balloon pins just by looking in discard boxes.
Right.
And I've been having fun with that. And since then, I've organized them in all sorts of shapes. I've got one collection up there. It's primarily to do with lodge totems.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
In fact, tonight I just got an armadillo. Who wants Chris Jensen said, who wants the armadillo? I do, because it's part of a totem for a certain lodge.
Yeah.
And I put them down together. A few weeks ago, I was at the Winston-Salem Traderie. I was looking through for people, Scouts, Cub Scouts are always looking for the Garfield and Odie and all that goes with. And so I bought a collection of those. And I got them home, and I was looking through and comparing to what I had, and I found one that I hadn't had.
Okay.
That is the joy of it.
The thrill of the hunt.
The thrill of the hunt, because I didn't know it was there.
Right.
You just keep out looking for something of interest, and I say, well, I happen to know these are good traders, and that's why I purchased this whole little collection. Now that brings up a point. when you're buying, pins go for $2, $3 when they're bought new today.
Sure, yeah.
If you get them on eBay, you have to pay $5 to $7. And that's because each one of those pins, the pin seller has to recover what he owes to eBay and for his shipping.
Yeah, right.
Those, all of you who are into the patches know all about that.
It costs about $2 to ship a pin because it would have to be a package.
Yes, it has to be the package. And so that makes it expensive to go on eBay. That is why I enjoy coming to traderies and just searching and talking with people and seeing what they pull out. And I'm always finding something. Now, value is relative. The most valuable ones I have are the ones that mean something to me. My first Cub Scout pin, my first Boy Scout pin. I wouldn't trade those for the world.
Right.
Now, I happen to know that I do have others that are high value, at least eBay value. They're selling for $100 each or $150. That's way out of my price range. However, I've got them just by looking and adding. I have a special board at home that anything that comes in, I put it there. And after, you see, I'm patient. After a year, for some after 5 years,
Oh, wow.
yeah, and some for 10 years. And a little trade trick. If you're willing to wait 20 years, the pin you want will show up.
Ah, okay.
Because by 20 years, people either have forgotten what the initial value was, let's get rid of it.
Right.
But that's 20 years. Our lads aren't going to wait 20 years. But there's all these available now. You and many of our traders go up to the National Jamboree. And at the National Jamboree, it's a cutting edge for pins. It's the Orange County Council out in California are doing three-dimensional pins. The 2012 and then forget what it was before that, the Jamboree.
Yeah, 2010 and then 2013.
2010, thank you. The 2010, they came out with surfboards. Oh, I saw those, and you could. Somebody was trying to would get his collection there, and you could buy it for $200. It was phenomenal amount of money for those pins, but they were attractive. They were a collection, and it was hard to get them all.
Well, and the beauty of their design was the patch is made to fit the pins.
Yes, it is.
So
yes.
if you don't have them all, then it doesn't look right.
That's true.
It looks like it's missing.
Yes. And speaking of that, if somebody is still looking for them, I've still got all sorts of pieces from that era to get what I wanted.
Yes.
I had to do that. Now this last time they went further. They went beyond. They didn't go with just surfboards. They went with, I don't know, these boards with
skateboards.
Skateboards, yes, skateboards, and three-dimensional skateboards against a beautiful patch. And you had to do the same. Though they were doing it correctly, they were doing to get their boys interested in trading and getting to meet others.
Right.
Well, it became a feeding frenzy to get those pins.
They were very popular.
Very popular. And I have no idea what they're going to come out with next. But that's where we're going. We have lots of, the pins have been primarily, their highlight was in the 80s, 1980s, mid-80s.
Yeah, I remember 1985 Jamboree. I remember guys, the big thing in the 85 Jamboree was you'd have a hat.
Oh, yes.
And your hat would just be whoosh, all these pins.
Yeah.
And I remember guys trading their patches for pins at that Jamboree. I wasn't at that Jamboree, but I've heard all the stories and I've seen a lot of the hats. So that, I think, was sort of the peak of
yes, it was.
pin frenzy.
Yes.
And maybe because it was new. I guess there's in my mind, it's like Taiwan or somewhere is where this kind of came from, these really fancy pins. And it just became very popular in the mid-'80s for lodges to make them. I know my lodge made a pin, and then the council around 1985 had a council-shaped pin, CSP-shaped. So yeah, that was kind of the highlight. But like you said, there's a little bit of a renaissance going on, and also there's still councils that are issuing them with their Jamboree sets and things.
Speaking of council pins, we happen to be part of a Southern Region 6, and we have 11 councils, 11 lodges, and we go to the Dixie, and each one of our councils has a council strip pin, or had.
Yep.
Had. That's the operative word, because they're almost like finding hen's teeth nowadays. The councils aren't producing them. I don't know why, because they're attractive. And I have not been able to find our council pins for any of our 11 lodges for, I guess, close to 10 years now. It's that rare.
Yeah.
Now, where they are sitting at home in somebody's drawer in a box, like my original collection. After I started with the Dixie Fellowship, I went to my box and I started browsing through it, and I realized I have a collection there. And so that's a Boy Scout collection. And from there I went on, and I just kept on growing because of, well, there's another reason too. I very quickly realized I could not afford the pay for some of the patches that are out there. Pins at $2, $3, eBay at $5. Okay, I will fully admit I have spent as much as $15. In fact, recently I spent $30 for a pin. But I wanted that pin because it was the first of the Dixie pins, and I wanted another one because people have been trading with me, and I wanted another one. So that one stays in my collection. No one's going to pay me $30, but I have it now.
Talk about trading. I think I have seen you trade pins.
Oh,
and stuff.
yes.
We are sitting here, and you have yours in these boxware frames, but you have a neat little setup that you have when we see you at events with pins that are pinned in there ready to trade and stuff.
Yes, I have, to get what I wanted, I have had to collect all sorts of other pins, and so I've arranged them. I have them arranged by Dixie Fellowship. I have them arranged by lodges. I have them arranged by what do you call them? States and conclaves, so that people can more easily find what they're looking for. Going to NOAC is going to be special because I've got everybody from across America who's there, and councils and lodges are not all putting forward or not offering pins. So I'm there, and the people say, "Ooh, I didn't know our lodge had that," and so I'm able to trade. Now my difficulty is I want to trade a pin for pin, and the boys say, "I've got patches." So what I do is before I find my blanket space is I go around to find out who's got pins.
Okay, right.
And I say, "All right, 3 blankets over, an aisle down, you go there, there's a fellow who has pins. You go trade your patch for his pins, and you come back and see me."
Yeah.
And it works. So I can trade 1 for 1, and that's what I do at the...
Well, I was going to say, too, the beauty of this, and for anybody watching this video, is that this is a collection that is done, as you said, at traderies, face-to-face, handshakes and trading, not a whole lot of eBay. It's easy to start. You can come up with a shape, a design, a theme to your set, jamboree, whatever. And so it's very individualized. I mean, you have frames here that are very different from each other, but you have created themes by shape and event and totems and things like that. So it would be an extremely easy collection to start.
Oh, it is, especially if you go around and start digging around in the discard boxes that are around here, or talk about somebody, do you have pins? And they bring out their handkerchief, their towel, and they lay them out. And how much do you want? $2. Hey, boys can afford $2 pins. I know that because I see them also out there buying patches. So you're correct. To get a collection, to get an assembly of something, either a design or Dixie Fellowship, it's not hard to do. And once you've got say, 5 years when you were into the Order of the Arrow, or 4 years, and then you start, well, I'll just get the ones that keep on coming, or then you can start looking back individually. Many of our patch traders out here, they look for pins that complement their Dixie Fellowship patches.
Right, they want it to match to the patch. Yeah.
That's right, and that's what we do, and that's literally what I do at the Dixie Fellowship when I get up my a table, is that I'm helping people fill in what they have or what they're looking for.
And what happens with Doug, and this could happen to you if you begin doing this, is that now you show up at a place like this, and people have pulled pins for you.
Yes.
They know, where's Doug? When's Doug going to get here? I've got a bag of pins for him. And you get to go through them. I saw that with Chris Jensen just a few minutes ago. You got to go through a bag. And
people are so generous to allow me to do that. But that's also what happens with patches. They know, oh, you're looking for a Eswahapade patches. I've got these. And they're make sure you go through that pile. They do that. Well, they're doing the same with pins, too.
That's great.
It really is great. And they're attractive. They've got all sorts of there's all sorts of different ways of manufacturing pins. The cloisons are probably the brightest, but when you come down to, we've got etched. You can look at some of the ones from the Jamboree. You've got etched pins that are just literally carved out of metal, and that's something that we haven't had the technique able to do before. And now with three-dimensional, whoa, no one ever could do that before. So we've got the cloisons that are glass inserted for color. You've got painted. You've got all sorts of variations, which makes it very affordable.
Now, this will be a stretch, but are you getting into those giant lodge flap shaped ones? That's not quite your collection.
Not my collection.
I've seen some lodges do these metal flaps.
Yes, I will collect the metal flap pins, but I look for the miniatures, the very small ones. I have a wall at the house which is 8 feet by 8 feet. My whole collection is in that 8 feet by 8 feet. That's my collection.
Nice.
And I've still got space for more. Yes.
Keep going.
Keep going, yes.
Yeah. Well, Doug, thanks very much. I think this will make a great video, and I'm glad we got to record it. I know a lot of people are looking for fun little collections, little side collections, and this would be a great one for someone to start.
Thank you very much, and I agree with you. Look in your box, in your drawer at the house. You've got a collection.